Hi everyone, I'm Trisha Morris from Club Scrap. I'm here at my warehouse in Neenah, Wisconsin, where we ship tons of kits to our members out of here every month. And today I have a neat project to share with you and an efficient way to make it. So if you've seen the infamous Pinwheel card, maybe you're curious about how to make it, or maybe you've already made one. Either way, hopefully you'll learn something fun and new today with my new 5x7 Pinwheel card formula. So I've made the card a little bit larger, and as you may know, it mails nice and flat, and then when it's on display, it's kind of a little bit interactive and kind of has this fun, like 4 wings on every side of a rotation point that you can decorate then. So it's got a lot of fun real estate for you to embellish or just keep it simple if you'd like. That's how today's card's gonna go. And I'm using papers from our beautiful Tropical collection. It's just a nice bright kit, and I also have some samples made with our Christmas collection too. So, and I'm sure you have a stash of paper at home that you can draw from as well. So let's go ahead and make these cards. I suggest maybe you watch the whole process unfold, pun intended, and then you can go ahead and make this project for yourself at your very own pace. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, to get started, you basically just need 8 sheets of paper, and I recommend just going with 2 each of 4 different colors that coordinate. And for my coordinated papers, I'm going with my Tropical kit collection that we have, and our papers are available by the sheet. I'm looking for a nice heavier weight cardstock so that the card upholds okay, and that's what I've got here, 2 each of this print, orange, green, and blue. And then our card kits also come with these printed cut-aparts, and I'm using a series of 8 cut-aparts here that are perfect for this card format. And the original plan for these cut-aparts was different, but they adapted beautifully. If you're a stamper, you can just create your own printed panels or stamped panels, however you wish to do it. So I'm going to start out by just sorting the paper out. I'll take 1 of each color, so that'll be the print, an orange, a green, and a blue. These 4 pieces will be trimmed the same way, and then the other 4 pieces will be trimmed a different way in order to make 4 of the cards. So be mindful that for every card you want to make, you just need 2 sheets of paper total. And by using 4 different colors, we can really interchange those colors beautifully. I'm also consulting this printed card formula. Now I'm going to give you a link so you can download this for a limited time, so make sure you check back. We'll get you that link, and you'll be able to download your copy of this formula that helps you trim the paper in the most efficient way possible. Now for the first 2 sheets, I like to trim 2 at a time, and I like to organize all those pieces in my accordion pocket file. This is what I use for all my pages and card making and everything, and it just sits right underneath my handy dandy trimmer here, and it helps me stay organized while using my vertical space. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is figure out our grain direction. Eventually we're going to be folding this paper, and if you've ever folded paper against the grain, you know that's just not a good thing. The folds are very crumpled and not very attractive. So to find the grain, if you hold the paper by an edge, watch its behavior. Now in this case, the paper feels very stiff as a board. If I rotate 1 turn, do you see how it just flops right down? So I want the paper flopping down from the top of my trimmer to the bottom. It's pointing, just flopping this way. North-south, let's just say. And I'm going to do the same thing with this print. It's flopping north to south. So my 2 pieces are ready to go. So later on, when I fold the paper, I'll fold with the grain. Let's see. We're going to start out at 9.5. Always make sure your paper's flush at the top edge and also stabilized by the bar. It keeps that paper from moving around. And then we're going to go down to 7. At this point, we'll rotate, and we'll cut at 10 1/4, 7 3/4, and 5 1/4. And when you go back and watch the video and do this with me, you can just take your time, pause as needed. This larger piece here, I'm going to set it aside so we can score it later. And then we created some other smaller, narrower pieces. So I'm going to separate them by size. There are the larger strips. I'll put those in one pocket up here, and then the narrower ones in the next pocket. So A and B pockets. And then I'm going to take 1 pair of these pieces and trim it also horizontally at 7. and match these up with the pieces that are just like it. So we just made a bunch of these wider panels, and then the remaining pieces I'm going to set aside for either a different project or to embellish this one. We get to do all of that one more time. So quick check of the grain. I've done this a long time, so I have a pretty good feel for it, and you will too once you start paying attention to that. And I'll cut it 9.5 and 7. Now this is going to review. So if you're doing, when you do this with me, this should be even easier than 10.25, 7.75, and 5.25. Again, card bases to be scored. Pick up the narrower pieces, sort them by size, and file them with their buddies that match. Then I'm going to take one more double strip here, so that's the blue and the green, and we'll trim these horizontally, so like the horizon at 7. Okay. So those go with the matching buddies, and then these can be set aside. I use pocket D for decorative potential because every pocket has either a number or a letter A, B, C, and D. So that's kind of how I organize the card elements. Okay, now we're switching to a different diagram. Now, if you'll notice, in the first diagram, there's an arrow. That's what told me the paper needed to dip from top to bottom. This other diagram here, though, that doesn't have an arrow, so that means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which way it goes into the trimmer. Now, why wouldn't it matter? For these, it doesn't matter because we're not going to be folding the paper. Okay, so let's start here at 9.75, totally different measurement numbers here. And then 8.25, 8.25, 6.75, and then we're going to rotate and cut all of this into usable pieces. Okay, so 10.5, 9, 6.75, 4.5, 2.25. Ta-da. Okay, we just made a bunch of things here. Let me gather all that up, just the pieces that these smaller ones. And you see that it's breaking it out into 2 sizes. So these are going to go, I'm going to put the wider ones in my third pocket and my skinnier ones right next to them in that same pocket. Okay, then I have these 4 pieces that are pretty skinny here. I'm going to stack all of them up. And I'm going to put them in the trimmer horizontally and trim at 6.75. And the trimmer handled it just fine with that short little piece. I'll match these up with its buddies. And the rest of the pieces that are here, it's not substantial. Those are can be used for later. And then I have 2 more pieces here we're going to trim the same way. So again, here we go with a repeat of our second set of instructions. 9.75 is our first number here. Then 8.25. 6.75. Let's rotate. And we'll do 10.5. 9. 6.75. 4.5. 2.25. Okay, then I'm going to stack these up again, these smaller pieces, and divide them into 2 piles by size to match the others. Grab the next 4 narrow strips. These are only 1.5 by 12, and that's why we can cut these all in one shot at 6.75 and match these up with their partners. And the rest of the pieces can be set aside. Now, if you're using the cut-aparts right now, our cut-aparts are set up where you need to just make one last little trim around the perimeter to make this a perfect 12 by 12, and then visually you can kind of round to the nearest 1/4 inch, and that will help you determine how to cut these. And again, we're using these 6 lovely pieces here for our cards. And the next thing I need to do is score all of these pieces. So I'm going to swap my trimmer for a score pal. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece. This measures 5.25 by 7 and place it vertically in my score pal. And I was talking to my husband the other day. He's like, what is vertical? What is horizontal? Well, maybe another way to look at it is portrait landscape, portrait style. And that's very, very important that the 5.25 inch side is at the top. And we're going to score at 2.5, 3 1/4, 4, 4 3/4. Then I'll just grab the next one and repeat that. 2 1/2, 3 1/4. This is every 3/4 of an inch. 4, 4 3/4. If you're scoring a print, make sure the print is facing up. 2 1/2, 3 1/4, 4, 4 3/4, and then finally on this orange, 2 1/2, 3 1/4, 4, 4 3/4. Ta-da! Everything's ready to go now. We can put away all this other stuff and just enjoy making our cards. All right, as I was sorting everything out, I realized that there was a narrow piece that is the same length as the widest ones. The narrower ones, we don't have a specific home for, so those can be set aside. So basically what we've got here for our basic card structure is the card base itself. And then we have these wider panels that are the same height as the card bases. Then we have some skinnier panels, slightly shorter, and then some really skinny panels. So 4 different piles. And what I like to do is what I call the deal. So even in my card classes every month, we make a dozen cards for each of 3 styles. We always start out with the deal. So I'm just going to deal out the 4 card bases in piles. Now from the pile with the largest panels, these panels are the same height as the ones we just dealt. I need to match up the colors. This is easy. So I'm going to deal blue onto blue, green onto green, and so on. And those are like leafed together because we cut them at the same time. And then print onto print and orange onto orange. And of course you can do whatever you want with dealing these out. That's totally up to you. Okay, then I need to deal out these medium-sized panels. And what I kind of like to do is look at the color that I have here is orange. So then I'm going to give 2 orange panels to the card next door, and then 2 more orange panels to the card next to that. This is just a good way to distribute the colors. Okay, we started with orange, right? Now I have a print, right? So I'm going to go down to this one, deliver 2 prints to this pile and 2 prints to this pile. All right, then I have this blue. So I'll deliver 2 blue to this pile, and then 2 green to this pile. And then I need to deliver 2 blue to this pile and 2 green to that pile. So now basically I have 3 of the 4 colors represented on every single card base. So all that means now is I need to deliver the 4th color. I'm going to do all 4 of these. So blue is not represented, so I'll add 2 blue to this one. It's a little easier if you sort these out ahead of time. And then green isn't present, so I'm going to add all my greens here. These are the skinniest ones. Then I need some orange over on this pile. And some green over here. Now in front of me, I have everything I need to make all 4 cards beautifully organized. So I'm going to set aside 3 of the stacks, and let's just make one of these together because all the rest of the cards are assembled in the exact same way. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now we have a scored piece. Let's start with that. As you may already know, if you've taken classes from me before or others that teach this as well, the bump of the score is what needs to land on the inside of your fold, and you can see the 4 bumps here, and on this side these are the little divots. Okay, so just always bury the bump is a good way to remember it. And I'm just going to use my fingertip to make the creases nicely here. Always just make sure that as you're folding, the card is straight. You know, I trust your score lines, but you know, not too much. Now, if we were to count, we've got a wide area here, and we've got 1, 2, 3 areas that are the same size, and then this other little 1/2 inch score line on the end. So I'm going to fold over that 1/2 inch score line. And what I have left are 1, 2, 3 remaining scores. Just kind of remember that. And I'm using Club Scraps bookbinding glue in a needle tip applicator. I'm just going to run that along that folded tab. Remember, this is folded over here. And then the second score line, I'm going to fold on that second score line and just fold that over so the glued tab is on the back of this wide scored area. It's always easier to work flat, even if the future item is supposed to be dimensional. And look at how I just created this perfect square. Do you see that? It's absolutely perfect. And it's because I was able to work with it flat that, again, laying it flat won't be an issue. All right, so I am going to lay it flat and kind of rotate it around so I have this wide area here, and I have a score line in the middle here. And I need the rest of my orange panels. Again, these are the same height as the card itself. Now this is a cool thing. Watch this. I'm going to take my bookbinding glue and I'm applying glue to the center scored area here. And then I'm going to take my next panel and set it right next to the glued area here. There's like a little ridge I can rest it on, and then I'm just going to fold that glued area onto this new flag, or this new little piece I'm putting on. And a liquid glue that I use is nice for this in case you need to make some adjustments. So now do you see how I'm forming? This was the first flap of my pinwheel. This is the second. All right, now I'm going to apply glue. After flattening, I'm going to apply glue to this middle scored area. We're basically going to attach a flap to every one of these little 3/4 inch scored areas. This time I need to pick up the card. I'm going to put another panel next to it on that, against that little ridge there. Be careful it doesn't go into the ridge, and I'm going to close over it. Again, I can lay it flat, which is really super handy. And when I pick this up, you can see now the third flap has been attached. I still have this one remaining area. I will apply my adhesive. And I'm basically repeating, I'm resting the fourth, or this is actually the third piece we're gluing, but it's creating the fourth panel next to, and then flatten on top of that. Burnish just a little bit. This glue, if you use the right amount, dries very quickly, as you see, but it also would allow me to make an adjustment if I had to. So isn't that great? There's my pinwheel card. It's done. So hopefully the mechanics of that made sense to you. It's pretty easy when it boils down to it. Now we have all of these other panels, and this is quick and easy. It's all sorted out, and I'm going to show you the quickest way to attach these. So I'm going to turn over these really fun printed panels. And if you want, you can lay them vertically on your work surface. Hopefully you can see those. And I'm going to be using I'm just starting a roll here of this, my favorite little ATG adhesive tape gun, adhesive transfer gun. And if you can see here, there's a wide area and a narrow flap. I'm going to attach this to the narrow flap. And because I did all this math ahead of time, the panel will fit perfectly onto the flap. And then I'm just going to rotate the pinwheel or spin it, however you want to look at it, and center that on the next flap. Pick it up and rotate again, and center. Pick it up and rotate. And this is my fourth and final narrow panel. So now my card's starting to look kind of spiffy, and then I can take the remaining panels. I'm going to place them horizontally and alternate the colors. Can you tell I've made this card structure a few times? And because I don't want to just put adhesive all over, I place it horizontally and I run my gun along the bottom and the middle and the other end. So do you see how I was able to accomplish that all, very quickly, very easily? And the fact that they're alternated, that's how I want these pieces attached to the card. So here's a flap. I'm going to center this within the neighboring flap here. Pick up the card and rotate. Now I'm switching to green. Center, rotate, back to blue, because it's all planned out for me so beautifully. Rotate, and then green. So you could make 2 cards just with 4 sheets of paper, but you wouldn't have all these wonderful color representations, which I think is what makes this really fun. So all of the rest of these cards are assembled exactly the same way. All you need is an A7 envelope, which will hold a 5x7 card. Now this has not yet been decorated. So again, let me just mention, I've got the cut-aparts. You can use stamps. You can use whatever you want to decorate this fun card. I'm going to quick show you what I did on my finished samples. So I had paper left over. I don't know if you remember me talking about putting those larger scraps into my little accordion pocket file, but I used them to mat. I measured this piece and matted it with the paper. And so I have this sentiment: wishing you all you are wishing for, turn your face to the sun and all the shadows fall behind you. And you could go through and even add more decor. I did that on some of the cards here. I used the print scrap for this one. So beautiful. I love this sentiment. One little bird can't conquer the world when you flip it over, but two can. I crack myself up sometimes. Isn't it just sweet? Here again, you bring color to my life. Thank you for everything. What a gorgeous card. Here I added even a second panel. So all of those other strips can be implemented into decorating the cards however you like. I'm going to show this to you in another style. We have a Christmas card kit as well. So these have been made with the cut aparts from our Woodland Christmas collection. So I used 2 sheets of this white linen texture, the red, the green, and then the print from the Woodland Christmas card kit. And then so this side says, although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. I mean, what a lovely card. Now, this card, yes, is quite a bit more involved than maybe a single fold that I would typically send. But, you know, you can efficiently crank out a healthy batch of these pinwheel cards in no time at all, which is one of the things I really love about these formulas. Now, every single month, I develop a specific card kit to the theme, the monthly theme, whatever it may be. In fact, in December here, the kit is called Galaxy, and the cards have all been planned out with the same type of formula. So you take all of the paper that comes in your monthly kit and you trim it just like we did according to the sketches and file everything in the one of 4 pockets. And then we assemble for each of 3 different card styles in that theme. So if you enjoy learning new structures, I try to have one that's like a single fold, but I do experiment with other card styles every month. And if you enjoy that, I always do a video workshop and a thoroughly printed copy of the assembly tips as well. So it's kind of going to be a fun journey if you were to decide to join one of our clubs here. We have a page kit that makes pages and a card kit to make cards. So I hope you can see the potential here of working with these card formulas. I do spend a lot of time thinking it through, like doing the math, doing the sketches, testing the runs, making sure everything works and fits properly for our kits every month that we offer here in our card club. So let's say, for example, you joined our card club. It's $24.95 a month. The theme for December is called Galaxy. You will receive your kit and everything you need to create the 12 cards, including the envelopes. It's kind of a cool thing. So each month is sort of like a little workshop in a box. You can download the assembly instructions, tune into my video workshop, and we'll do it much the same way. We'll trim all of the paper, then score all of it, and then fold all of it, and deal. Remember the deal that we did with all the pieces? I walk you through the deal, and we just distribute all of the colors and interchange them, and then create the structure itself. And if there's ever any kind of an important detail with that, I will walk you through it step by step. And you can work, of course, at your very own pace. And then you assemble it and walk away with 12 completed cards ready to send, which is kind of cool. So all that to say, come and join us at Club Scrap with maybe a card kit membership, a page kit membership, or both. We could do that too. We'd be happy to have you. We've been making our monthly kits since 1999. So that's going on 23 years now. We're very proud of our legacy of just offering quality and unique products to our members worldwide. So come and join us. And I do hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. And a special thanks to Brian and Carol for hosting us every month. It's been a great year, and we appreciate these virtual expos so very much. I look forward to seeing you at one of these again soon. Bye.